phenomenon. Hey, we're
Phenomenon.
live. How about that? It's a
Well, we're live. Half my head is missing here as I see it, but
no. I see you all of you.
I work better with half a head anyway. So
One of the things that we were talking about before you pushed the on button was Joe Pignatano's tomatoes. You did a piece on Dave Parker, Big Dave
yeah,
Parker, not to be confused with Little Dave Parker. And Pignatano's tomatoes came into this story.
yes, yeah. I was. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Vinnie.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I just wrote a piece about there was this story I always love to tell to people about how I used to hang out after games by the players, the home team entrance to the ballpark, which was nothing but a fence. The parking lot was behind. They used to make the players park in the regular parking lot,
You're talking
knowing the
about Shea
Mets park
Stadium. Shea
at
Stadium.
Shea Stadium. And so they moved them behind after 1980 or so. They moved them behind this fence that was the outer fence of the stadium. But you could still see them. I could still walk over to the fence and sign an autograph for you or whatever. So I used to. I wasn't even an autograph collecting guy. I just like the buzz
You want to see
of
him?
being near the players and watching them get on the bus and stuff. So anyway, we're there one afternoon. The Pirates have beat the crap out of the Mets on a hot afternoon. It's 79. It's that crazy year for the Pirates, the last time they won a championship. And they got the remnants of that incredible team that they had through the 70s, with just every year, Tavares and Dave Parker and Willie Stargell and Kent Tekulve is the closer and the whole thing. So I'm standing there as I usually do, just talking baseball with people, catching the buzz, and all of a sudden, this new caddy, man, I could have been more than a year old, man. You can hear from a block away. It's like speeding down the lane, and people are jumping out of the way, and they're like, "Yo, yo, yo, hey, yo, yo, yo!" And it's Parker is hanging out the passenger side window. He's got a bottle of Jack in his hand.
He's a happy boy.
And he's realized I think they just swept the Mets, which wasn't hard to do in those days.
Now it's not hard to
And
sweep the Giants.
pulls up, gets out, and he's, kissing the babe, and he's got the bottle, and the gate opens up. The campus coach bus, which was this old, smelly diesel bus, is belching diesel fumes, and Parker gets out and he waves the bottle of Jack at the crowd, and he goes through the fence and he gets on the bus.
He's going places. That boy's going places.
and you look at it that as an outsider, as somebody has to stand outside the fence, and you're realizing that that's part of what makes a team. I'm a young kid. I'm I don't know, what am I, 18, 20 something years old, man, maybe 24, 23. And you're realizing that these are one of the things that make the team. Later, you realize that, though. You don't realize that when it's happening. It's a party moment when it's happening. But when you start to cover the teams, when you're on the other side of that fence.
And what if you're on the Pirates this year? There's no party like that this year.
And you realize, well, they're partying this right now. They're partying in Pittsburgh. I mean, they beat the Mets and beat them up bad. I mean, they left the Mets emotionally scarred after last weekend. Now, I don't know what'll happen with the Mets, but I know it's the Pirate season right there. I mean, when you go back, when you talk about 2025 in the realm of the Pittsburgh Pirates, you'll talk about remember that was the year that they beat the crap out of the Mets at PNC Park. Means a lot to Pirate fans because you don't have much.
If you're a Pirates, hurry up and schedule the Giants because they can't win for losing. They cannot win.
Well, and again, Michael, it made me laugh because I do such stupid freaking things in my life.
Can't be helped.
And one of them is read the comments, which you should never do. Because if you read the comments on Facebook, especially in fan groups,
You're asking the strangest people on the earth what they think.
you will lose all faith in humanity. You will pray for the Russians to come and take the country over. You will,
They're coming.
You will, without a doubt, look at the situation and say there just can't be an assemblage of people that are that fucking stupid in the world. But yet,
Here they are.
So in one Mets fan group, somebody starts a diatribe about how he's not going to go to any more Met games this year.
Just this year. Next year for sure.
Right. He's not going. He's not going because this team didn't show him what it took to be a champion.
Did he say how many games he's been to? None. I haven't been to any games and I'm not going to any.
Yeah, I was going to say he's probably, hasn't been to a game all year, maybe one. Probably might not even watched the game.
He lives in Schenectady.
And I just and so, once he says it, and of course there's got to be 100 people that are going to follow. Oh yeah, I'm not going any more games. I am a season ticket holder and I'm giving my tickets away. Or I'm selling all my tickets, yada yada yada. And it's stupid. It's the same thing as the fans who say, I won't go to any more games. And they will change the way they run the team. They're not going to change the way they run the team. You're going to go to games because, first of all, the number one thing that you always have to remember is that baseball and sports, like many other things in our society, is a drug. You're addicted to it. Very rarely is rare.
Might as well admit it. You're addicted to love.
Yeah, I mean, you're addicted to sports, just like you're addicted to a drug, just like you're addicted to your morning news, whatever it is. And they know it. And that's why they get away with what they do. That's why they get away with the $150 bleacher seat or a $300 piece of cloth that has a team emblem on it.
And that's how the Pirates are still in the league. They just get away with that.
Well, the Pirates are still in the league because they run it as a business. Their owner says, I'm not going to spend
a dime,
this much money on players and on high dollar free agents. I'm not going to spend $780 million on one player. I mean, I'm sure that if you really wanted to, Bob Nutting could go out and get a loan and put it up against his team and sign a Juan Soto. But the reality is that he wants to run his business, and it is his business. People forget that these are businesses. Just because of the fact that they hoodwinked people into buying them a stadium.
If you buy me a stadium, I will pay you on Tuesday for a stadium that you get today.
Just because of that doesn't mean that it's still not a private business. Now, in our minds, we like to think that there's a relationship between
money and success.
This business and this, all of the stuff that we always talk about, that the players have a special relationship with the fans, and the fans have a special relationship with the city, and the team has a special relationship because it wears the name of the city on their chest, and all of that stuff that we always talk about. And while some of it's true, reality is Bob Nutting has the right to run his business the way he wants to run his business. Um,
Nobody else in the National League is going to stop him. That's for sure.
yeah, Steve Cohen has the right to run his Mets the way he wants to run them. If he wants to go and empty out his bank account to give it to Juan Soto or another player or somebody, he has the right to do that.
And there's always another somebody coming down the road.
And there's always somebody. Everybody wants Bill Gates to buy the team or Steve Jobs or whoever,
It goes to Paul Allen.
Paul Allen. Yeah, I mean, and they'll dump their money into it and they'll turn it into a championship because they owe that to the city of Seattle because they made their money here. But and we talked to John Nordstrom, you and I have talked to him about what happens on Sunday, what happens on Monday if the team doesn't win on Sunday.
Everybody brings back their shoes.
They bring back their shoes, man. So I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong. It's just it is. And when you live and
as they say in New York, I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying. And when you what
the hell does that mean? That I don't know what that means, and I don't know what over here means. We got a party going over here.
Michael, it's a phrase that I came up with years ago that is my equivalent of there is no there here. It's
there's no there.
You know what it means, but you don't know what it means.
It defies description. It defies definition.
So anyway, I mean.
Wait a minute.
July 2nd.
Don't forget Pignatano's tomatoes.
yeah, we started Piggy. Anyway, I got to ask Lee Mazzilli sometime. Did he give the tomatoes away? Did he keep all the tomatoes? Did he make gravy? Did he make sauce? What did he do with those
And
tomatoes?
who takes care of the tomatoes when they're on the road?
Pete Flynn, I think.
Head groundskeeper?
Yeah. Yeah, I think Pete Flynn took care of the tomatoes when he was
gone.
Do
not overwater my tomatoes. Don't overwater them. I want them to be sweet and succulent.
Well, from what I understand, and I don't know, I've only heard rumor. That's why I want to ask Mazzilli about the tomatoes, because according to many people that I've spoken to post being as a reporter and as a media guy, he had a pretty good freaking system for growing tomatoes. Whatever his system was, it worked because he had really good juicy tomatoes.
Excellent.
I don't know, did he grow Romas? Did he grow beefsteaks? I don't even know what he grew. So we got to find that out. We got to find somebody, whether it's Mazzilli or somebody else that knew about the team that was there and knew.
You're gonna find a relief pitcher who said, "We all backed him up on his story that he grew the best tomatoes in the world, but they were the worst tomatoes I ever tasted." You talk about awful tomatoes, Piggy.
That would probably be Neil Allen. That would probably be Neil Allen. He probably developed a distaste for Piggy and his tomatoes. It's so funny. One of the things I've always, I have several books that I'd like to write. Several, certainly a few plays that I'd like to write. And I just haven't been able to sit down and concentrate it. And it's a shame because they're going to die when I die. But one of them has been a play or a book or a story about the 79 Mets, and what a dysfunctional team that was. Because that was, everybody marks the Mets from
62.
No, really from Mookie Wilson and Darryl Strawberry and Dwight Gooden coming up.
Yeah.
Frank Howard, George Bamberger or Frank Howard being the manager. But there was those years, they call them the lean years, that was in there from 77, from the Seaver trade, really, to Gooden and Strawberry and those guys coming along, and the trades that they pulled off really was the Frank Cashin era.
Yeah.
Bringing in Gary Carter, bringing in Keith Hernandez, bringing in, a little known trade that they traded and brought in Ron Darling.
That was a good
for Ron Darling, and I think it was Walt Terrell from Texas for Lee Bazzilli, and I forget there was another player or two involved in that trade. But but those, where they started to turn into and the George Foster signing, which was, people forget, the biggest signing in free agency at that time in 1981. So, but those lean years in there were pretty funny because you had, Joe Torre was the manager. You had a bunch of people that basically no other team wanted.
I have a complaint about baseball reporting. Today, the headline is Shohei Ohtani hits number 30. Ties mark set by Corey, the guy that plays with the Cubs. The outfielder for the Dodgers that got traded to the Cubs, Corey Blanchard. And that's
Eager? No.
Well, it doesn't matter. He tried to mark set by somebody else for 30 home runs before the break. And also Aaron Judge has 30 home runs. And then in the next paragraph, leading both leagues is Cal
Worthington. Raleigh. Cal Raleigh.
Cal Raleigh, as if it's an afterthought, and also the guy who has the most home runs, we're not going to mention him because he plays for Seattle. Find out for yourself. Look it up. It's not part of our idea. We're covering the Dodgers and the Yankees. Screw the.
Who's the writer? Who's writing this column?
ESPN. It's a front page of their ESPN story this morning. I don't know the byline.
Yeah,
well, that if I was a Seattle fan would burn my biscuits.
Well, Michael, as we often have, we used to laugh about people in Seattle, because you remember this when we first got here. What was the biggest thing you heard from Seattle fans?
Inferiority complex.
The East Coast bias. Nobody respects us. Nobody, everything comes out of New York.
Nobody likes us. Nobody loves us. Think I'll go eat worms.
It's Yankees, Yankees, Yankees. They think that we're all a bunch of people who wear flannel shirts and, eat moss.
Mossbacks.
And have no concept of urbane life. And so we
don't know what a subway is. What's a subway? I never heard one. Never seen one.
Right. We heard that. How many times did we hear that? I know I heard it, especially because I was from back east, and people would blame me for the back east bias, the East Coast bias.
You're the guy who started it.
And I would simply say, well, it's a simple equation. If you win, there's no bias. When you win, they have to put your name in the headline.
Yeah.
They got to put it there. But what I have come to see and know, and this was much more in the older days than now, there was a situation in baseball reporting and sports reporting, because you would open up the paper if you lived on the East Coast and see 3 or 4 games that had no scores to them.
West Coast games. What are you going to do? Who cares?
West Coast games. They were not complete by the time we went to press.
Paper had
So
to
they
go to bed.
tell you the
We're not
score.
waiting. We're not waiting for the West Coast. We got the East Coast.
Right. We got the East Coast. We got New
Here's,
York. Who gives a frig about anything else?
here's the scores.
So they'd give you the daily news, and you'd never know the score. There was no computers to go look it up on. There was no way that you could find out the score of those games unless you either watched something on TV that gave you the scores, of which there was nothing in those days. If
The
you were lucky.
11 o'clock news in New York, maybe.
Well, at the 11 o'clock news in New York, the games were just starting out here, so you couldn't even get the score then. And people forget, or people who were born in 2000, who are now 25 years old, have no idea, no clue of that. And that you didn't get everything instantaneously when you wanted it. The people actually have
standings all figured in.
Yeah. That now you pick up the standings and the stats there are mind-boggling. They have wins above this and this above that and possible list, and this guy wins without this player, wins with this. There's 9 million stats. You didn't get that in those days. And the standings were never accurate because if one of the West Coast teams won, like the Dodgers won, and they were in first place, and a team, I don't know, say the Giants won. So that's two teams that didn't figure into the standings that day. It took you 2 days to find out.
Are we a game out or are we a game behind? Or what are we?
Right. Where are we? Well, you won on Wednesday. Well, this is Friday. We're going into a weekend series with the Yankees.
It's a holiday weekend that starts on Wednesday.
The Yankees with the Cubs. What are we doing? Where are we going? We're going with the Cardinals. Where are we doing? And until 1980, 81, 82, you couldn't get that information. So, of course, there wasn't a bias. It was just a lack of information.
The world didn't exist west of St. Louis.
For many things, yeah. For many things. I mean, if you wanted a good sticky frita recipe, yeah, you could get that because Mrs. B in her kitchen up in Ballard, she would have it for you. Because that would be from the King Finchers Syndicate or something. But as far as the score of the Mets playing the Dodgers that day,
we don't know.
Unless you watched it live on TV and then sat down to cipher what the standings were, you had no idea.
You're in the dark.
You didn't know. So, anyway, was there an East Coast bias? Yeah, there was an East Coast bias, but it wasn't a bias so much as it was just a lack of knowledge. And
we know the piggies go in tomatoes. We just don't know what they taste like.
Right. So these are the three things we got to understand. We got to understand if Vicky had tomatoes, we got to find out what they tasted like. That there was an East Coast bias, and that's why some people sat in a room and said, we ought to invent something called ESPN, where maybe we can turn a buck by telling people who won those West Coast games at 2 o'clock in the morning. And the rest of the time, we can show Australian rules football.
Or Wimbledon.
That guy. There's a guy I wonder whatever happened to.
This guy?
Yeah, remember the guy? Used to he had the hat, the suit, and he just stood at the end when somebody did something. I don't even know because they didn't have the camera on what they were doing. They just had the camera on this guy.
They kicked the ball.
And until Andres Cantor came along, he was the guy. He just stood and put his hands up. What the hell ever happened to him? So, how are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm still a little shaken by the fact that it's Wednesday and the weekend has started.
Yeah.
That's a long weekend. That's not a 4-day weekend. That's a 5-day weekend, 6-day weekend.
And it's going to be a very traveled weekend this weekend.
Yeah, my family's going to be in the air.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those weekends where everybody's going to be trying to go somewhere because they think they have a long time to go.
They got somewhere to go. Did you see the video of the fireworks factory blowing up today?
Yes, in Esparto.
Man, talk about a blowjob.
It's always a great. There's always some great video that comes out this time of year. You know, a couple of years ago there was that fire. There was the police chief that lit himself on fire with the fireworks.
That's always good for a laugh. I'm laughing.
Well, I wasn't. I mean, he lost his hand, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Had suffered like third-degree burns. I mean, in that respect, it was. But I think there's something that had come out that he had confiscated the fireworks from somebody and then was lighting them off instead of, turning them in as evidence.
Oh, boy.
Well,
for those of our listeners that don't know what I'm talking about, check your email, check your online presence, and look for a fireworks explosion because that baby went up.
Yeah. Just Google Esparto, which is actually a town I've been to, because it lives on the something called the 505.
Is that an area code or a freeway?
It's a freeway. It's a freeway that connects Route 5 and Route 80 between Williams, California, which is about 50 miles north of Sacramento.
Second Tomatoes.
And the Nut Tree, California.
Oh, God, yeah.
Which is about 40 miles south.
You got two choices. You can pull over at the Nut Tree or the Milk Farm, or both.
Or you can pull off at Esparto, which is in, I guess, the Yolo Valley.
Well, it was there. It's not there. It's not there today.
Yeah, it's not there today. Or it's there. It's just it's slightly burnt.
Still going off.
And they had a fireworks factory there for people who don't know the story. And somehow, some way, the fireworks factory went up in flames.
Well, Biff Jiggerman, the manager, always loved cigars this time of year. That's all I want to say about that.
That was mistake number one there, right there. As Archie Bunker would say, right there, that was mistake number one right there.
Right there. Not here, right there.
Right there. Yeah, so somebody was doing something that they shouldn't have been doing, and the place went up in, went up in fireworks. And that's not that's a dangerous thing, it appears. Now, they're saying that and I don't know what the situation is, but they're saying that there are still people in that building.
In Biff's office.
That were, I mean, they're obviously expired. I mean, I don't expect that there would be like a place that they would be, you're not going to get a story where they're going to go in there and they're going to be huddled in a safe or something like that. I think it's over for them. But it's certainly.
Excuse me for laughing at your death, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, but the idea that somebody's huddled in there, I mean, while outrageous, is outrageous.
It's hopeful, but it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
check the video and tell me if you think anybody survived.
It would be a good cartoon. It would make a great cartoon for Harvey Toons or Terry Toons, or
it would be great if you see Daffy Duck and the stripe comes off his neck. When he gets in trouble, the stripe comes off.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's worse than that. It's worse than that, believe me.
Or a hole where the rocket went through. But yeah, it was. So Esparto is on the map today.
Well,
And
not like it was yesterday.
not like it was yesterday. No, that's for sure. It's on the map and off the map all in one fell swoop.
Right there.
Which, the people in the South, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it started. Usually these things are started by carelessness of some kind. Somebody smoking a cigarette, somebody lighting a joint, smoking a doob in a room that they're not supposed to be doobing in. It says right on the door, no doobie.
No doobing. No doobing in here.
No doobing in here. We've all worked at a radio station that had that sign on the bathroom door, no doobing, no dubation, no Dubai.
I remember once a certain unnamed morning man smoked a doob in the closet at KRQR without knowing that the ventilation system was going to take the exhaust smoke right down the hall to KCBS into their sports booth, traffic booth. And they came down and said, what's that smoke? And I knew where the smoke was coming from. I didn't know it had happened. It happened without my participation, unfortunately. But that was a good day. That was a fun day. That was our Sparta moment.
Welcome to
those damn rockers are down there smoking joints. We're trying to do the news.
712 at 74 KCBS. We're now going to play the name game. Here's Stan Bunger with Shirley, Bo Burley, Banana Banana.
Bo Furley. Furley. Shirley. Bunger, my Bunger.
Oh my God, that would be funny. Here, just the all news station,
getting a little relaxed.
Today's stories: the Beatles are getting back together.
So we hear.
So we think.
Let's go to Biff Jiggerman in Liverpool. Biff, what do you know?
Biff,
I know you woke me up. There's nothing to the story. Now, Biff.
Well, this boy met that boy, and next thing you know, oh man. Oh, wait.
You gonna go for fireworks this year? The funny thing about LA and fireworks is some years the fireworks go on across the towns, across the municipalities, into the night. You just hear explosions and fireworks going off everywhere. Talking about home initiated explosions, and some years is quiet. And it was like 4 years ago. It was the busiest New Year's Eve. I mean, 4th of July I can ever remember. And since then it's been more quiet. So we'll know what we're going to get this year. Depends what mood the world is in. Right now, the world is in a pretty angry, protective mood. We're all covering our loins.
And the people in, I'm sure in Gaza are saying, are you people crazy? You're lighting off explosions to celebrate something?
That's what we do over here.
What must it be like for somebody that's a refugee from, although we're not taking in refugees anymore, but it must have been odd for somebody to come from a country, a war-torn country, to the United States. And here you pull up on 4th of July and everybody's lighting off explosions to celebrate.
Hold my cherry bomb for me, will you?
Yeah, while you're sitting there going, wait a minute, this is just what I ran away from. I mean, that must have been just a weird feeling.
Well, how do they like it now? Come to America. Be sure to read the plaque at the Statue of Liberty and then get ready for the new cruelty. That's what the government's about. We're cruel. You are insignificant as an individual. We're going to take you off the streets by masked gunmen. We'll take you where we want to. We'll give you services if we feel like it, but we don't feel like it today. The new password is cruelty. We are cruel Americans, to ourselves first and to you as soon as we can get to you. Whoever you are, cruelty is what awaits you. Welcome to America. The
whole country's become the DMV. I mean, really, when you get down to it, the entire United States has now become the Department of Motor Vehicles. One of the worst things you can do is
Have to
go to
go
the
there.
Department of Motor Vehicles. Any state, anywhere, go to the DMV.
Actually, the best
And
DMV I ever visited was in Wenatchee. They were so nice. I was the only guy in the building.
well, that's because they were private. Oh no, the Department of Licensing isn't private. The license plates are. See, here you split it up into two things. You can't, you do your car licensing in one place, which is a private enterprise.
Driver.
And then when you have to go down and do your driver's license or something like that, you go to the Department of Licensing, which is a state agency.
That's where I went. It was a great experience.
I've had some good DMV experience. I'm not going to say they were all bad.
By the way, they're still looking for the guy in Wenatchee who killed his daughters. It's cost them $6 million so far. They haven't found him. Now they've run out of money.
It was interesting. I didn't even think about it, but yesterday, the day before yesterday, Monday, I took a ride up up to the road test track that I used to test cars with the car that I'm driving this week, the Volvo. And instead of going my normal way where I get to Darrington and I make a left and I start to head toward Concrete,
like you do.
like I do, I took a right and I went down this thing called the Mountain Loop Highway.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what it is, it's a highway that runs through the back of the foothills of the mountain range that's back there. I forget if it's the Cascades, but it's the lower Cascades. And so anyway, I didn't go too far up this road, but I went to this little beach and boat area that I go to that's on the Sauk River. And sometimes I just go there and sit and have lunch, take pictures and that. And I went over a bridge and there was a guy who was on the beach under the bridge. And he had like all of his clothes out and he was washing them in the stream. And I didn't even think to like I didn't even know that it was still going on, to be honest with you. It kind of had faded. It's past that cycle of, the news cycle.
It's out of the news cycle.
And it never even crossed my mind that, geez, maybe I should call the cops and at least say, hey, you may want to go check this out. There's some guy washing his clothes at 7:00 at night in the river. But that could describe a number of people because it's camping season. There's a lot of people that live in the woods up there because of homelessness and so on and so forth. A lot of people have probably washed their clothes in the river. So, if you're listening up there in Snohomish County, I guess, or is it Snohomish? Is it? And that's not Kitsap out there. I forget what county it is. Past Snohomish. You may want to go look over there by the White. What was it? White River. By the boat dock on the Sauk River.
And he might have been there a little while because his clothes weren't going to dry at 7:00 at night.
Right, and plus, if you go from Wenatchee and head east, going through the woods, west, going through the woods, it's kind of a logical place to spot somebody because it's not, if you didn't want to travel on Route 2 or 90 or one of those well-traveled routes, you could go that way. So it's not entirely impossible. And I didn't even, like I said, I didn't even think about it.
Isn't that loop trail seasonal? Isn't it open only in the summer?
Yeah, it closes. Yeah, as soon as it snows, it's over.
Right.
It's opens up again in the winter, in the summer. But there's also another highway called the Cascade Loop Highway, which is Route 20, and that goes from, I don't know, you may have been on this one. It goes from Burlington, I-5, east through the Cascades. And it goes up out to Twisp and to
Twist and shout.
Twisp and Shout, and Winthrop until you get to north of Wenatchee. And that's another route that's closed in the winter because of the volume of snow, but gorgeous in the summer.
Yeah, of course.
And there's a lot of city light buildings and stuff, because there's a couple of dams and power plants and so on and so forth up there, that there are a lot of properties with buildings on them. So if one were looking for shelter,
you might find it.
One might find it up there. Now, I'm not trying to tell the police how to do their jobs. Lordy knows that they have a tough enough job.
And Lord God knows they've had enough tips that they last them a lifetime on this guy.
Yeah. But it's something worth looking. And then you have the Idaho situation, which I actually thought that might have been the guy.
I see.
I thought when I heard that whole situation in Idaho, for people who don't know, some guy started a fire near Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is a popular resort town. And when the fire people responded to the fire that he had started,
he opened fire on him.
And killed 3, I think, 2 or 3. Killed 2, I know.
Killed 2, wounded 2.
And wounded 2. Innocent people going out to try to do a good thing and fight a fire. And this scumbag decides that because he was rejected as a fireman, or whatever his reason was, that he's going to take a few firemen with him. If I'm not good enough to play with you, nobody gets the toys. Nobody gets to play. How did we bring up such scumbags in this country?
It's the self-righteous nature of it. You do that to me, here's what I'm going to do to you.
How did we get to where we have a generation, or maybe a few generations, of a group of people inside that generation? It's not all of them. There's some very wonderful people, but there seems to be this thing that goes on in these generations, these groups of people that say, if you're not going to accept me, I'm going to kill you all. I'm going to screw you. I'm going to make things as miserable for you in your life.
It's the cruelty again, Vinnie. It's the cruelty that we see in the Republican Party, that we see in our government, that we see in our representatives, willing to fuck everybody over just so they make them big man happy. How could you vote for this? Well, I had to. Trump would have come after me if I didn't. He hates me anyway, but if I vote yes, I get to stay. And apparently the parents of this guy in Coeur d'Alene were Trump supporters, longtime hat-wearing Republicans. And,
I saw the picture they had of them all together from the house.
Not a surprise that this is the children that they have sired. Better have some coffee on that note. Coffee.
Well, it just seems to be such a, and I notice it with not all. I mean, I know Trump people that are Trump people that I don't know. I guess they're all right. I mean,
I guess don't shoot firemen when they come to their neighborhood.
Say again.
They don't shoot firemen who come to their neighborhood.
No, not as a rule. I mean, I don't know, but it just seems like they're good. They were good people.
Just went slightly off.
And something clicked. Something that Trump has touched in people has found that part in people, that button in people that you push if you want to send them over the edge.
And they won't come back. They'll go over the edge for you, but they will not come back.
And they're not they're not coming back. It's a sad thing, and we've seen it now. It's not just once or twice. I mean, we've seen it. We see it with this guy Luigi, whatever, with the killing the CEO.
What about the guy on the roof in Pennsylvania that shot Trump's ear off? Or the lady shot him?
Well, again, it's a pretty good-looking plastic surgery that he had there. The guy on the roof. I mean, there's just this, this turning of what seemed to be somewhat normal people. I mean, we all know people who we say to ourselves, how could this person be a Trump person?
Nobody says that about Stephen Miller, though. All the way back to high school and middle school, they said he was one weird motherfucker.
Right, but I mean, I'm just talking about the regular people that we know.
Yeah, okay, good point.
I mean, yeah, there are the Stephen Millers and the evil people of the world who have been just, give them a book of matches and they'll go in the bathroom and start a fire.
And this, Vinnie, is their time. They figure that this is our moment. This is our year. This is our opportunity. We're going to show them what it's like to be cruel, professionally cruel. We can do it.
We got picked on when we were in school. We got picked on when we weren't allowed. We weren't picked for the baseball team. We weren't picked for the football team.
So look out, here it comes.
Get even.
Exactly.
We'll show you. We told you our day was coming. We told you at some point we were going to, to rule. We told you that we get even with you. And we now are.
You didn't listen, and now here it is.
This is what happens when you don't listen to us. We told you in school that one day it may take 1,000 years, but one day we'll get even with you.
And all you need in America to be the really cruel person is the vote. You just have to have enough votes in the Senate and the House.
Or the gun.
And you can do anything you want. Yeah, or both.
Yeah, the bullets or the ballots or both. If that's part of the problem that we have in the country, is that if you want to make that impression, all you need to do is go to your local Kmart and pick up a gun. And you don't have to go far. You can actually start shooting in the gun store if you want.
You start shooting right now. There's no... Who's going to stop you? I want to know. Who's going to stop the guy with the AR-15? Nobody.
Nobody. So what do we do as a country? We go out and we put more AR-15s. We need these. We need more of these. We need to make them more accessible.
I think that
we need to not put somebody through a background check.
And when you buy one of those, they should tell you, now, if you have an emotional attachment to this gun and you really want to go out and show everybody what you're like and get even with the world for the life you led, start by killing yourself. It's so much easier that way. Just save yourself for the
why do these people always kill themselves
last
at the end of their spree?
Right. Start your spree by killing yourself.
At the beginning of the spree.
Perfectly good question to ask. I asked that question right now. Why didn't you start with yourself?
Yeah, go with your go with you want to create a thing. Go sit in the living room, set your own house on fire.
In fact, yes, my intuition tells me that would be the great place to start.
Yeah, why get us involved?
We were just shopping. We don't even know you. We didn't go to school with you.
I was in the meat department looking for a good little pork loin. And next thing I know, I'm under the counter with the guy from the meat department.
We're not talking about pork loin.
No, we're talking about how to get, which way is the back door so we can get the frig out of here.
Exactly. Where is the back door?
I mean, it's crazy. I'm going to be 70 years old, and I walk into a store now, and the first thing I do is I look for the exits.
Where's my way out of here?
How do I get out of here? If somebody comes in and starts shooting, or somebody comes in and start, I mean, I don't move. You know, I'm probably a dead duck because I don't move. You know, I mean, I don't move fast. I'm slow and shit when it comes to going somewhere. If somebody comes in, God forbid, then I'm toast.
Well, I'll probably buy it in the pet aisle because that's where I spend most of my time getting cat food, cat litter, cat treats.
Unless they like me, unless they look at me and say, well, this guy's got a kind face. We'll let him live. Unlikely to happen, though.
No, if you're shooting up a store, you're not usually making your choices based on people's kind faces.
I don't know. I wonder. I think some of them you do. I think some of them do. I think some of them do look, because it gives them that God thing. I have the power to let you live. I have the power to let you die. I think that, I mean, I don't know. I don't read up on every one of them, but I would imagine that that's part of the psyche of a shooter. And yet I'm watching, Amazon Prime Week is coming up next week, and I don't have any money to buy anything, but I like to watch anyway, and see what's Prime. And there's this guy on there, and he's talking about this monitor that's been made to give you more accuracy in your shooting games.
Oh, good. I was complaining about my accuracy just the other day.
So if you want to become a better shooter with your video game, which is, just what we need, people who are mentally unstable to begin with now buying shooting games.
But a crack shot. Mentally a mess, but what a shot.
Yeah. We want to help these people. Buy this monitor and it'll help you become a better shooter. Yeah, that was crazy. That was again, so much crazy stuff. The other thing we haven't talked about, and I thought that we were going to be talking about this for a while, but it's not going to be, is this scumbag Brian Koberger. You familiar with him?
Tell me about it, please.
He is the guy, the Wazoo product, who went into the home in Idaho.
Moscow, Idaho, yeah.
Moscow, Idaho, which is 8 miles away from Pullman, as anybody knows that ever gone out to a football game there.
Loose bound.
Went out and slaughtered 4 kids in their shared house in Moscow. 4 students at the University of Idaho.
And they want to ask him why. They want him to tell them why.
He doesn't look like a guy that's going to answer honestly, to be honest about it.
No.
He looks like a used car salesman of the highest order.
Is there a high order of used car salesman?
Yes. There's the ultra scumbag category.
Well, I thought that.
And I don't mean to besmirch used car salesmen, because I know some, and they're good people for the most part.
When it comes to the used cars, the used car part tests their ability to be good people.
Well, it depends, I guess, on who you work for. I think that's what it comes down to. There's some places you can work for, and they're going to be, and they want to do the right thing. They want to put people in good cars. There's other people that'll sell you a wreck and send you running down the road.
Absolutely.
And it's a business that preys on the stupidity of people. Preys on,
which is kind of fun. People that are stupid should be picked on, but
preys on the fact that somebody's a woman instead of a man. I can't tell you how many friends I have that are women that have had horrible experiences at auto dealerships, solely because they're a woman.
Don't go
No
alone
other reason. You would
and
never.
be willing to walk
I've
away.
gone in with guys and had the same guy, the same, and they explain it completely different to him.
Oh yeah.
So, anyway, so this guy Koberger, they were getting fired up for a big trial. Was supposed to start in July, and they had evidence out the wazoo. No pun intended. This guy was a smart guy, the criminal justice major or criminal justice guy, and he decided, much to everybody's surprise the other day, except for a few people out in Idaho, to plead guilty.
Wow.
Uh,
It is a bit surprising.
well, yes and no. If they have the evidence, or if he knows he did it, he gets his life staved, just to live out his life in prison. Otherwise, in Idaho, they have the firing squad.
Well, also in Idaho, anybody can walk up sooner or later and just shoot you for being a fireman. If you're a murderer, chances of getting shot are even more prevalent.
Well, I thought, and I haven't heard anybody bring this up, but I thought it was odd that they reveal this right in the middle of all this other stuff going on down in Boise. Now this is going on, this is going on, and they turn around and all of a sudden they're making this plea deal in the middle of everything else going on in Boise, or in Coeur d'Alene, I should say. I mean, it's kind of stretching the resources a little thin here, don't you think?
In Idaho, yes.
Yeah, I mean, here you are. You have two nationally implicated stories within 50 miles of each other in Idaho.
Shooting stories.
Yeah. In a state that already struggles with its identity about race.
I don't know
and race relations.
How could it be struggling? They're all white. Where's the struggle? It's the whitest spot on the planet.
It is pretty white out there. It is pretty white, and the people who are out there, the white people who are out there, you hardly run into any black people.
White people out there are very white.
Are not upset about it.
No,
they're proud of it.
They're white about it.
They're mighty white about it.
They're not wrong. They're white.
They make no attempt to hide it. Now, it'll be interesting with the guy who did the shooting of the fireman, because he was born and brought up in California.
Well, California wants to get in on everything.
And if you remember from when we first moved up here, how much they hated Californians.
Oh, they did. They didn't want to, but they couldn't help it.
Yeah, this was one of the only places I had ever visited in my life where it was better off to be a New Yorker than it was to be a Californian.
And you were both.
And I had the lucky parlay. But, this is a place that, again, it was, you didn't want to be from California up here because they were hating Californians. But being from New York was okay because everybody had a story of, I went to New York when I was 22 years old, and got a couple of women, found a couple of women over there on 44 for Times Square.
Right up at Times Square, right where you get the Pignatanos tomatoes.
You get the Pignatanos tomatoes, and you get your buttocks rotated all in the same spot.
They'll rotate it for you. Just present your buttocks and it will be rotated for you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
That's
Thank you
Billy.
very
He's
much.
our buttocks rotator.
And he also does not, he watches the tomatoes so they don't get overwatered.
He's going to make sure that your tomatoes don't get overwatered. You're going to have nice ripe tomatoes when you leave New York. But again, it's but so keep an eye on that. I guess Koberger was entering his plea this morning.
And he changed his plea. Wow.
Yeah, he went from not guilty to guilty. I don't know if the court accepted it, and we're also waiting to find out. I don't know if he did or not. If Sean Diddy gets to go home today.
We don't know that yet. His lawyers are making the case, but why should he go home now when he didn't go home in all the pretrial?
Well, because they convicted him on, I don't know.
2 counts of transportation for prostitution.
Yeah. That's, all the other stuff. Now, I'm not saying he didn't do it. I'm not saying he did do it. I don't know the jury. It seems like it was a funky thing no matter what it was.
Remember, his company was called Bad Boy Records, and he was proud of the fact that he was a bad boy.
Yeah.
He got pretty, besides being bad, he got kind of kinky too, and that cost him.
Well, yeah. Look at all the baby oil he's got to figure out what to do with now.
And that stuff does not wash out all the time. It can stain silk and other fine cotton. So it doesn't mingle well with clothing. So take off your clothes.
Well, I got a suggestion for him. I don't know if this still works, but when a Rolls Royce does not use brake fluid in their cars for the brake system,
What do they use?
Now, again, this may be different now, but in the old days, they used to put castor oil in the brakes. Now, I don't know if that's the same as baby oil or not.
No.
But it seems to be a nice, non-abrasive. Maybe he can tell him the baby oil is castor oil.
If he gets off, he'll be selling his own brand of baby oil. Diddy oil.
Oh, he'll be on Home Shopping Channel.
He'll be on Amazon Prime. Get your Diddy oil.
I'm sure he's got a lot of bills to catch up on.
Yeah.
But then again, he had a lot of money, so.
Well, he was kind of a putz. I don't know him personally, but I think he's straight into terrible territory.
Yeah, I would agree with you. No matter how much of a nice guy you think he is, or what he did for you, or
unlikely,
this or that, or how much you think you know him, people just when they get that kind of money and they get that kind of power, they get that kind of weird.
You get that kind of a kink. What are you doing for the 4th, Ben?
Well, it's Erin's birthday, my beautiful daughter. So
happy birthday, Erin. Happy birthday.
Yep. So 4th of July around our house always centers around Erin and what she wants to do.
The adoration of the child.
It's I know that we will not be going to the fireworks factory in Esparto.
You could go. You just can't.
That's not.
You can't really get in.
That's not happening. No, I think we're going to be. I think we're going to be around. Her mom is coming up, so I'm sure that we'll. She'll probably celebrate with her friends on the 4th, and I'll celebrate with her. We'll probably go somewhere on the 5th, all of us together, and have a nice. We always on 4th of July or thereabouts always seem to get together and have a nice day.
My family's coming back from Cape Cod on the 4th, so I wish them a safe journey, and we can't wait to get them back. So we can
saw a picture
of the babies and the dog.
I saw a picture of a young man at Fenway Park.
First visit, yeah, his first Fenway.
First visit to Fenway or first baseball game?
Now he's been to a baseball game, but he hasn't been to Fenway.
So well, I'm sure that he'll remember that for the rest of his life.
That kid can hit, I tell you. He can hit.
How old is he now?
6.
Yeah, it's probably about this. Let's see. I was 1962, so that would have put me at 55, 7 when I went to the Polo Grounds.
Whoa, that was your first visit?
For the first time, yeah. And watched the Mets and the Cardinals go at it. And you can tell by the fact that I even remember who the other team was.
They won.
That it was, yeah, of course. But
can anybody here play this game?
Yeah, but the trip to the ballpark, the smell, the grass, all was made an impression on me that I'll never forget.
It did not fade.
Yeah, it didn't, and I hope it does the same for the young man, because for Bo, because it's it only adds to, it makes you want to play more, makes you want to be a part of. Some people, maybe not,
part of the mystery.
But for the most part, it makes you more curious about this little tingling in your heart that might be the first time you experience love outside your family.
Right.
It's really it's kind of cool. Now, again, I mean, I just saw a picture of the kid sitting in a ballpark. I don't know.
He was excited that they do the wave in Boston.
Well, and the poor kid,
they take it seriously. Boston stuff.
They have medicine you can give him for that.
No, but they won't take it
to get him cured. But at the Polo Grounds, what they used to do, and I think we've talked about this several times, is they used to let you walk down to the field and exit the Polo Grounds by walking along the warning track out to center field and going out that entrance, because the way that the Polo Grounds was built into a mountain or a big hill on the side of Coogan's Bluff.
Yeah.
And so when you exited the ballpark, if you exited at the top, it was tough. But if you went down to the field and went out that way, you went right out to the subway station. You went right out to the, a lot of people didn't park their cars. My father drove up there and found a parking space right by the Polo Grounds. But for the most part, you took the subway up. But it was, again, another part of the experience of going down to the field, and you got to, here was this beautiful field. It was well manicured and beautiful, and no matter how shitty the Polo Grounds might have looked, the field was gorgeous.
Oh yeah, different management on the field.
The field was like nothing you'd ever seen before. Just the dirt was pure and the grass was all cut at the same, it was all even, and the dirt on the side of the warning track and the foul lines, the chalk, it was all perfect.
Yes, perfect.
So when they let you walk down onto that as a 7-year-old kid,
you had to have respect and be careful.
It's like going to church. It's like the first time you go to church. It's like, wow.
It smells better than church.
Because they let you go on the altar.
Yeah.
In church, you were told specifically, don't go up to the altar.
You can't go over here. This is where we go. You can't go here.
You can't go up there. Meanwhile, and there's Mets people saying, come on down. Guys in orange jackets saying, come on. You can walk on the altar. Let's go.
You don't have to ask him twice.
Exactly. All right, man. You want to? Are we going to do a show Friday, or are we going to take the day off and celebrate America?
I think we should celebrate America, what's left of it.
Yes. Celebrate now while you can.
Find something and celebrate it.
Go on a picnic.
Picnics
It's still
are good.
something they can't take away from us because all you need is a loaf of bread, a couple of pieces of bologna, a little bit of mustard, and somebody to talk to.
Like, you can talk to the bear who's going to take it all.
But generally, you can do a picnic for, you could probably do a picnic for under $5. You don't even need bologna. You can do a piece of bread and cheese like they do in France
Yeah. Sounds good.
or Italy, for that matter. Voila! All right, man. Well, I will talk to you Monday, I guess.
Okay, Monday it is. Have a good weekend, Ben. Happy
You,
birthday,
my
to
God,
Aaron.
happy 4th of July. And we will rejoin you again Monday, if the Lord's willing, and the creek don't rise.
249 years we've pulled this off.
Wow, one to go for 250, huh?
Let's go for it.
Well, it's like getting an 80, man, like getting a 70. I sure freaking hope it happens.
It's going to happen.
I sure hope it happens, pal.
Peace and love,
Peace, love, Manischewitz, baby.
Ben. What a wine, I'm telling you. Have a
Happy
great time.
4th, Mikey. Take care. Thank you all for listening, too. We always appreciate your time on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning that we get together here with Michael Knight. That's him. And New York Vinnie. That's me. Peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby. Take care.